Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Critical Weight Theory, where I'm going to dive into a topic that many of us struggle with: the feeling of being constantly rushed, leading to anxiety and procrastination. If you've ever felt like time is slipping through your fingers and you can't focus, you're obviously not alone. The pressure of feeling like you're running out of time often leads to a cycle of procrastination where avoiding tasks only makes us feel worse and makes the task itself more difficult. So let's explore why this happens and how we can maybe break this cycle. So the first key issue might be rumination. Now, what does that mean? According to the American Psychological Association, also known as the APA, rumination involves repetitive, excessive thoughts that interfere with your ability to focus on the task at hand. You might keep thinking about how much you have to do without actually doing anything, which just fuels the feeling of being rushed. So if you're stuck in this loop, it becomes difficult to move forward. As they say, the first step is often the hardest one. That's really one of the big challenges in life, is just taking that small step forward, which can sometimes feel like a giant leap. But another common reason for procrastination is the fear of imperfection. You might feel rushed because you're worried about not doing things perfectly. That little voice in your head might say, I have to be perfect or something bad will happen. And one of the annoying things about that is there could be some truth to that in a lot of cases. But sometimes you just have to kind of push that aside, because this perfectionism often causes us to avoid tasks altogether, leading to analysis paralysis. So what is that? What is analysis paralysis? That's where we get stuck thinking about how to make things perfect instead of just getting them done. That can really be a major hurdle in life. So, what's the solution? Well, you can start by focusing on progress, not perfection. Set small, achievable goals for each task, and remind yourself that something done is better than something never finished. So, break your work into bite sized chunks so you're not overwhelmed by its size or complexity. For example, if you need to write a report or something like that, you can start with the simplest part to build momentum. And overwhelm is another big reason for procrastination. When we don't know where to start, it's easy to feel like time is slipping away. But by breaking tasks into smaller steps and starting with something easy, you can start building momentum. Often the hardest part is just getting started, like I said before. And in some cases, you might even be able to ask for help. I know in certain scenarios that could be construed as cheating and you could even get in trouble over it. But in a lot of cases, you can actually, rely on something or someone for help. Maybe instead of doing something yourself, dare I say, you could get an instruction guide. Maybe watch a YouTube video if it's something that you can do. There's a lot of things that might be slowing you down that just have to do with resorting to getting some help. So, next, let's talk about time management. An etiquette expert named Anna Musson points out being late or rushed can sometimes suggest that deep down you think your time is more valuable than others. So that can be a problem. You don't want to be chronically late, because some people will take offense to that. They'll start to maybe see you as somebody who's just not putting in the effort to be there on time, and you know there can be a negative consequence to that. Maybe you'll be career damaged by being late or something like that if you're that way. So it's easy to spread yourself too thin. So, juggling multiple tasks but finishing none is something you want to avoid if you can. And I think most people can cut down on their work. Maybe you shouldn't be a workaholic. Maybe you should be doing a little bit less. I know that can be tough. A lot of people are overburdened and it can be tricky to address that. But of course, one thing you might want to do if you are one of those many people is just keep a daily planner. A lot of people do that. It's fairly common. And as with anything, you have to prioritize. Some things are more important than others. And, when at all possible, you should emphasize those things that really matter the most. And, if juggling multiple tasks but not finishing them sounds familiar, try time blocking techniques like what is called the Pomodoro method. It's a technique that involves working in focused blocks of time, followed by short breaks. It's a great way to maintain focus without burning out. I kind of do that a little bit myself, even though I'm not the busiest person on earth or anything. But if I didn't have some sort of schedule or routine down, I wouldn't know what to do. You know what I mean? If I didn't have some basic plan, even my breaks are a little bit scheduled. I've got sort of a routine for that. And it can end up feeling a little bit anal retentive and like it's not allowing you to be spontaneous enough. But I would say that, if you're worried about that, then you should be able to carve out some moments of your life that are a little bit more spontaneous, like have a day off that's more like a true day off, if you can. And, I know we're overstressed and overworked in a lot of cases, but I think most of us actually can at some point, cut down on the work that we do. And it's it's tricky because the cost of living is so expensive, and some of us have to work. We just have to have those two or three jobs, or maybe even more jobs in some cases. But at the end of the day, you do have to live your life, and that can sometimes include taking some time away from whatever sort of work you're prepared to sacrifice. So stress and anxiety often fuel this cycle by making us feel rushed. When your mind is constantly jumping to the next task, it's hard to stay present with what you're doing now. So to combat that, mindfulness techniques like deep breathing or meditation can help ground you in the moment. By calming your mind, you'll reduce stress and be able to focus more deeply on your work. At least in most cases, obviously, I can't say that it's a guarantee, but this is, the sort of thing that people do who are able to manage, let's just say, high stress lifestyles. So, finally, let's talk about procrastination as a coping mechanism. Sometimes avoiding tasks can feel like a way to relieve stress in the short term, but we all know it can come back to bite us later. So you might want to, at times, set specific deadlines and hold yourself accountable to them. And this is just as important, reward yourself when you finish tasks, even if they're small tasks and small rewards. It's a positive reinforcement that can make a huge difference. So, maybe this episode's been helpful for you. I'm basically winding it down now, so basically the main point is that by breaking tasks into manageable steps, practicing mindfulness, and using simple tools like the Pomodoro method, you can tackle both anxiety and feeling rushed and the procrastination that so often can follow. So remember, progress, not perfection, is the goal. And thank you for tuning in. And I hope you found today's episode helpful in managing your time, stress, and focus. And until next time, keep it real.